From the pages of MikeHuckabee.com, the one-stop shop for all my columns and perspective on the news of the day, delivered straight to your email inbox twice daily. And don't forget to subscribe to my weekly podcast, The People's Podcast, exclusively on Quake Media. Be sure to go to quakemedia.com/Mike and sign up. Now, let's take a look back at the week that was. President Biden finally gave his first primetime address on the first anniversary of the World Health Organization declaring COVID a worldwide pandemic. And I think it's safe to say that he cleared the very low bar set from him. He read a scripted speech, and he read it in his grandfatherly tone, heavy on emotion, with no glaring mistakes, and of course, no questions. But if your standard for a presidential address is that he look you in the eye and tell you the truth, then he tripped over the first hurdle. See, he talked a lot about truth and how Americans are owed the truth, but this was his third sentence.
A year ago, we were hit with a virus that was met with silence and spread unchecked.
Now that is a blatant lie. 1 year prior to that speech was March 12, 2020. The virus was the lead story on all newscasts. The lead headline of the New York Times was, quote, U.S. to suspend most travel from Europe as world scrambles to fight pandemic, end quote. That very night, President Trump held his own televised address, informing Americans of the latest travel ban and other steps that were being taken to fight the virus. He'd already cut off travel from China back in January, a move that Joe Biden at the time condemned as xenophobic. Biden also tried to take credit for the successful rollout of the vaccine, saying, and I quote, we're on track to reach the goal of 100 million shots in arms on my 60th day in office, end quote. In fact, the week Biden was sworn into office, an average of 983,000 people a day were already receiving vaccines developed in record time, and that's thanks to Trump's Operation Warp Speed program. On 3 of those days, over 1 million shots were given. That put the U.S. on track for 100 million shots by the end of March. Biden or no Biden. But the biggest eye roll of the speech was this little gem.
If we do all this, if we do our part, if we do this together, by July the 4th, there's a good chance you, your families and friends will be able to get together in your backyard or in your neighborhood and have a cookout and a barbecue and celebrate Independence Day.
The irony shouldn't be lost that the leader of a country that fought a war for its independence a couple of 100 years ago and celebrates that day of victory over a king and his oppressive decrees is telling us that we may be able to cook a few hot dogs with up to 8 family members. And that brings us to California Governor Gavin Newsom. Newsom is facing a recall, and he's not too happy about who's backing the effort.
The RNC is the second largest donor to this effort. The Huck Pack, Mike Huckabee, Newt Gingrich is out there, Gavin Newsom, Trump mega donors have put in close to $3 million in this effort. So yes, I'm taking it very seriously.
So let's talk about why I'm supporting the recall of Gavin Newsom. The governor is trying to deflect criticism of his abysmal performance in office by pointing fingers at those who support his recall. Let me just say, if I'm in the company of Newt Gingrich, Gavin Newsom, Trump donors who are working to get Newsom out of office, I am honored to be part of that. One big reason that I am involved is that a message needs to be sent to an arrogant governor who thinks that it's unsafe in these times to go to church, but it's fine to go to a strip club, or who orders citizens to avoid dining out and to wear a mask. That is, if the restaurants are even open at all. But Governor Newsom dines out himself at the fancy French Laundry restaurant without a mask. Recall organizers say Wednesday they've submitted 2.1 million signatures, which far exceeds the 1.5 million needed by the Wednesday deadline. When MSNBC's Joy Reid asked Newsom about organizers' claims that over 1/3 of those signatures are from Democrats, independents, and unaffiliated voters, mad that his pandemic policies have shuttered businesses and schools, he had a very different take. And I'll bet you already know what it is. The people backing this are racist. According to Newsom, the number one grievance was the browning of California. Immigration? If there are that many white supremacists and racist militia members in California, it kind of makes you wonder why he'd want to be a governor of a state like that. Well, I take it as a badge of honor to be disliked by a governor who is so bad, he almost makes Andrew Cuomo look competent. And I'm proud to be helping Californians remove him from office. On to the Twitterverse and one of our favorite climate hypocrites and elitist blowhards, of course, John Kerry. Kerry, now described as special presidential envoy, was caught on an American Airlines flight this week not wearing a mask. Rick Grinnell tweeted, quote, John Kerry is so used to flying privately that he comfortably ignores American Airlines rules and Joe Biden's demands. Why didn't American make him mask up? End quote. American Airlines said they're looking into this incident. I'm sure it'll be a very thorough investigation. Climate czar, special envoy himself, John Kerry, responded on Twitter, quote, feels like there's some St. Patrick's Day malarkey afoot on Twitter. Let's be clear, if I drop my mask to one ear on a flight, it was momentary. I wear my mask because it saves lives and stops the spread. It's what the science tells us to do, end quote. Mr. Kerry, the science you purport to follow also tells little people not to fly on airplanes so much to combat climate change. But you sure seem to do a lot of that. Finally, let's give a shout out to Florida Governor Ron DeSantis, who made a special announcement about school curriculums this week. Let's watch.
Let me be clear. There's no room in our classrooms for things like critical race theory. Teaching kids to hate their country and to hate each other is not worth 1 red cent of taxpayer money.
I couldn't have said it better myself. So until next time, these have been the facts of the matter.
Now, if you're seeing this, I know you've enjoyed that video. I mean, how could you not, after all? So you know what you should do? Leave a like, click on the subscribe button below, and hit the notification bell next to it so you'll always know when I have another video up for you to enjoy.